The FIA isn't just under pressure, it's under fire. Behind the polished paddock interviews and carefully worded press releases, a political storm is brewing that could change the face of Formula One governance. At the center of it all, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, the embattled FIA President, and his surprise challenger, Carlos Sainz Sr. This isn't some ceremonial challenge. It's a direct confrontation between a divisive incumbent and a motorsport legend with the backing of some of the most powerful names in the industry. Sainz isn't stepping into the spotlight for attention. He's stepping in because, according to insiders, the FIA may be on the verge of collapse from within. Top officials are resigning, drivers are speaking out, and one man, calm, calculated, and battle-tested, believes he's the one to steer the sport's most powerful institution out of the chaos. For those unfamiliar, Sainz Sr. isn't just Carlos's dad from Williams, he's a legend in his own right. 4 Dakar Rally wins, decades of credibility, and now a potential presidential bid that could shake the FIA to its core. Word in the paddock is that major names in motorsport are quietly, and in some cases not so quietly, lining up behind him. It's less of a whisper campaign and more of a paddock-wide murmur. Changes in the air. Now here's the kicker. Ben Sulayem hasn't even confirmed if he'll throw his helmet back into the ring. But let's be honest, he's not the type to quietly step aside. Since taking over in 2021, his tenure has been messy, unpredictable, and packed with yellow flags. Controversy seems to have followed him like a stubborn backmarker refusing to yield. The big question now is whether Sainz Sr. can convert admiration into action. Support is one thing, securing the FIA's political machinery is a different beast altogether. And if there's one thing we've learned from F1 boardroom battles, it's that popularity doesn't always translate into pole position. If Sainz does rise to the top, we might be witnessing a massive course correction in how the FIA operates. With reform in the air and politics at play, this isn't just a race for leadership. It's a potential reboot of the sport's most powerful institution, and in true F1 fashion, the outcome might just come down to who makes the boldest move when the lights go out. Carlos Sainz Sr. has finally pulled the visor up on his intentions, and it's not just idle paddock talk anymore. Speaking with the calm conviction of a seasoned driver eyeing one last heroic stint, Sainz revealed that running for FIA President has quietly lingered in his thoughts for some time, but now he believes the timing is perfect. It's the right moment in my life to take the next step, he said, with the tone of someone who's not just dipping his toes into politics, he's ready to dive head first. And let's not pretend this is some gentleman's disagreement. Ben Sulayem's presidency has been littered with missteps and misjudgments, none more infamous than the recent swearing scandal that caused a storm among the drivers. The trust deficit has widened, and murmurs of discontent have grown louder in every corner of the paddock. Sainz brings a quiet authority, respected, measured, and battle-tested. Those who've worked with him say he leads by earning respect, not demanding it. Still, there's one concern: his son. With Carlos Sainz Jr. racing in F1, some fear a conflict of interest. But Sainz Sr. isn't dodging it. People know who I am and what I stand for, he said, insisting his legacy and integrity speak louder than speculation. He even admitted that should he take the FIA helm, his father-son dynamic with Carlos Jr. would shift. He's not a kid anymore, he said with a hint of both pride and realism. He's been in F1 for 10 years. If I run for president, I'll take a step back from anything related to his career. That's just how it has to be. For Sainz, this isn't about family favoritism. It's about professional integrity. Momentum is building behind Sainz as cracks in FIA leadership widen. Deputy President Robert Reid resigned over structural dysfunction, and ex-CEO Natalie Robin exposed a culture of secrecy, poor systems, and sidelined voices in a scathing BBC interview. Even ex-race director Tim Mayer chimed in, adding fuel to the already blazing fire. According to him, Ben Sulayem's leadership style hasn't just been firm, it's been borderline autocratic. From pushing for driver penalties over mild swearing to micromanaging through indirect channels, Mayer painted a picture of a president more concerned with cracking down than leading with consensus. Yes, technically swearing is banned, Mayer noted, but is chasing down drivers over a few heated words really the hill we want to die on? In essence, the FIA is at a crossroads. One path continues under a cloud of controversy, growing mistrust, and top-level resignations. The other potentially leads toward a reset, guided by a man who knows the sport inside out, who's earned respect rather than demanded it, and who just might have the right engine under the hood to rebuild the FIA's credibility. Whether the paddock gives him the green light or not, that's a decision still waiting for lights out. There's no doubt now, the wind is changing direction at the FIA. Even Mohammed Ben Sulayem, the man under increasing fire, seems to recognize the writing on the wall. For For the first time in a long time, he's publicly acknowledged the need for reform, specifically in Appendix B, the section of the sporting code that governs the moral behavior of FIA officials. And let's be real, when the guy steering the ship starts talking about course corrections, you know the pressure is mounting. In his own words, Sulayem explained, "As a former rally driver, I understand what these drivers go through. It's a relatable angle, sure, but some see it as an attempt to soften the backlash." He continued, "Appendix B is essential to keeping motorsport open and fair for everyone. The rules are written by people, and like all things made by people, they can be improved. A noble sentiment, yes, but when those improvements come at the 11th hour, just as a rival starts gaining support, you can't ignore the timing. In what could be the most controversial move yet, there's chatter that Ben Sulayem wants to abolish the budget cap altogether. Yep, the same cost ceiling that brought the grid closer than ever before, narrowing the gap between giants like Red Bull and the midfield battlers. Scrap it, he says. The cost cap is just giving the FIA a headache, Sulayem declared bluntly. So what's the point of it? I really don't see one. That's not exactly the kind of calm, calculated thinking you'd expect from someone running a multi-billion-dollar racing empire. It's a bold, some say reckless, suggestion that could rip the current competitive fabric of Formula One wide open. Without a cap, the sport risks reverting to the days when only the richest teams had a real shot, while the rest were stuck playing catch-up with a broken gearbox and a prayer, level playing field, gone faster than a DRS overtake. And here's the kicker, even with all this noise, Ben Sulayem still hasn't won over the drivers, not even close. Hamilton, Verstappen, Russell, they're not just lukewarm, they're ice cold on the FIA's current direction. Hamilton, who's long been the voice of the grid through the Grand Prix Drivers Association, has been especially vocal. He's tired of being on the outside looking in. "We don't have a seat at the table," he said, sounding more like a frustrated union rep than a 7-time world champion. "People making decisions for us who've never even sat in a Formula One car. It's got to change. And who can blame him? This isn't coming out of nowhere. Remember the 2022 jewelry debacle? Hamilton showed up to Monaco looking like a walking Cartier catalogue just to make a point. Or the smear campaign against Susie Wolff, a baseless investigation that not only damaged her image but showed just how clumsy the FIA's leadership has become when dealing with internal matters. The fallout was so intense it could have powered a whole grid. So now the question isn't just about Appendix B or budget caps or swearing penalties, it's bigger than that. Is Ben Sulayem steering the FIA into a gravel trap? And is Carlos Sainz Sr., with his rally-hardened resolve and calm demeanour, the right man to tow the organisation out of the sand? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, goodbye for now.